Good morning, everyone.
Good morning,
Morning.
Rabbi.
We're learning Mishna Yevamos, Parak Tes Zayin, chapter 16, Mishnah Gimel, Mishnah 3. Now, until now, we've been talking about people that are believed to say that a woman's husband died. How exactly do they identify? What's their basis to say that he's dead? What do you need to know or to see in order to identify a person that has passed away? So the first discussion of the Mishnah is going to discuss about you find a corpse, and how would you identify the person, or what do you need to have in order to identify him? So the Mishnah says, Ein me'idin, one cannot testify, witnesses cannot testify, whether it's one witness, two witnesses, whatever witnesses are going to be believed. They cannot testify that a woman's husband has died, ela al partzif panim imachaitim, only based on the form, parts of it means the form of the face with the nose. That means you can only identify him based on the form of the face, which they explain here to mean both cheeks and forehead have to be intact, with the nose. If, let's say, the cheeks and the forehead are there, but the nose is missing, without that, you cannot identify him. If you do not see the face, or if the cheeks, forehead, or nose is not intact, meaning you got to see the face. If you see the face, but the cheeks, forehead, and nose are not intact, they cannot be sure about the identity of this dead body. So that's first of all. If you're going to identify a corpse, you have to be able to see the face, and these parts of the face have to be intact. Af al pi sheyesh simanim begufay bekelev, even though there may be simanim, signs, identifying marks on his body or on his clothes. What is that referring to exactly? So here they explain, in number 2 in the notes, the witness must recognize the corpse. Excuse me. They cannot rely on identifying features, such as size of the limbs, or marks on the body, such as moles, of the corpse that match those of a particular person, because it is common for other people to have the same marks. You know, he had a brown spot on this side of his forehead. Other people can have that too. That's not going to be enough. If, however, the corpse contains a particularly unusual mark, such as, listen to this one, an extra finger. It's possible, right?
Yeah.
It's possible, but not too many people have that. And therefore, if you have that kind of unusual mark, one can identify it by that mark. That's what they bring down here from the Tosfos Yontif. Okay? However, they cannot rely on any marks from the dead man's clothes, no matter how unique, because he may be wearing someone else's clothes. Okay? So again, that really means it may be unique, but, it's interesting. I mean, it's unusual, and you knew that this guy had this kind of unusual thing on his clothing, but I guess we could say that it's somebody else had it too. No matter how unusual it becomes, when it comes to clothing, other people can have it too. And therefore, based on the clothing, it's not going to be enough. So that's what it means, even though there are marks, identifying marks on his body, ubekelev, and on his clothing, that's not going to be enough. Unless, as we just read, that identifying mark on the body is very unusual. Okay, next. Ein mi'idin ela ashatetze nafshay. One cannot testify the man has died until they have seen that his soul has departed. They have to actually see that he has died. Now, va'afilu ra'uhu meguyad. Even if they saw him that he was severely cut by a sword, meaning they see him, he's been run through, but you didn't see him die yet. Okay? Even if you saw that he's been cut by a sword, okay? Or v'tzaluf, or he's hanging from a gallows. Or you see a wild beast eating him. Even in these cases, until you see that he has died, it is not enough to testify to this, and to say that he's dead, and his wife may not remarry, because even in these cases, without seeing him dead, there's still the possibility that he survived. Now, let me read to you from the notes here how they explain it. in the case where the guy was basically, cut by a sword. So they say like this: even if his wounds seem deadly, it is possible that he was attacked with a very hot blade, which cauterizes the wounds, closes them through intense heat, and will allow him to heal. Sounds a bit, but that's the point. It could be that he was run through. Now it's interesting, if it was run through his heart, would you say the same thing? It doesn't. I don't see any differences being made here, so I can't say for sure. But when it comes to the fact he was run through with a sword, and you would say he's not going to survive that. Well, it's possible that actually the sword could have been hot enough to cauterize the wound. All right. So that's why if you see that he was run through with a sword, that's not, and you didn't see him dead, that is not enough to say that he's dead. Let's say he's hanging, right? So he was hung, and you saw he was hung, and you quickly left. Then there we say he might have been taken down after the witnesses left. Maybe they took him down. You don't know. And therefore, he was able to survive. Or let's say you saw the animal eating him. Okay? Now, so you'll say, well, this animal is eating him, like, how's he going to survive? The answer is, the beast might have stopped before attacking his vital organs. Could have stopped in a way that he could have survived. And therefore, it's not going to be enough. Now, they bring down here that, okay, however, if it was impossible for him to have survived, for example, if they saw a beast attacking a vital organ, such as the brain or heart. I mean, you see this animal, right? Chop it, taking off his head. Okay, they can testify that he's dead. All right, that's already something else. They see the animal is chewing on is starting to eat him up from his leg. Maybe the animal's going to stop. But if they see him eating a vital organ, then there's no way he's going to survive. All right. So that's that part of the Mishnah. And then the Mishnah says, Ein me'idin ela at shleisha yamim. If you want to testify by the identity of a body, you see a dead body, it has to be within 3 days of the death. You want to identify the body, it has to be within 3 days of his dying. After 3 days, the corpse decomposes and its appearances changes so much that they cannot be sure of its identity. 3 days later, things change. And therefore, you can't use those whatever means of identifying. You can't use it anymore because his body has changed. Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava says, "Lo kala adam, lo kala malkam, lo kala shoy shavin." Not all people are the same, not all places are the same, and not all times are the same. Meaning, you can't make this 3-day set time because there are some people who decompose faster. So they bring down over here in the notes. For example, fleshier corpses, okay, them it decompose faster than leaner ones. And corpses decompose faster in warm weather than in cool weather, right? Therefore, some corpses decompose to the point that they are unrecognizable within 3 days of death. Some retain their appearance even after that time, depending on their size, the place, and the time of the year. So according to Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava, you can't just make the set time. It all depends on the circumstances. How exactly do you measure it based on these circumstances? I don't know exactly. But the point is that you can't make this 3-day set time because what if it's in hot weather? Typically it's to decompose quicker then. And what if, let's say again, the person he was large, he was fleshier, as they said. So according to Rabbi Ben Bava, you cannot go ahead and make this set time of 3 days. Rather, in each case, it depends on how much the appearance of the corpse might have changed. Meaning, you got to take a look. You have to look at it, basically. That's what it sounds like. It basically sounds like in each case, you have to look and examine and see how much of the appearance has changed. And based on that, you'll be able to figure out whether you can identify him or not. Okay. The same way you may not accept or believe lashon hara, meaning somebody says this person, somebody said something negative about another person. Can't believe it. You also can't accept rechilas. Rechilas again being when Reuven tells Shimon what Levi said about him, Shimon cannot accept it. The Hainu shlo yamin b'liboy shema shasipa lo shekach v'kach asal lo pleni yediber lo pleni hu emes. You may not believe that which you heard, that someone so said this about you, someone so did this to you. You cannot accept it. And if you do accept it, you have transgressed a prohibition. Shenemar l'sisa shemashav. You shall not accept a false testimony. Besides, for the many of the other potential prohibitions and positive commandments, you can transgress when doing so. V'amru Chazal, our sages say, Shloisha lashon hara hayraktan. There are three people that lashon hara kills. Ha'imrei, the one who says it. V'makablei, the one who accepts it. Mishna, and the one who is spoken about. V'makablei yesim and ha'imrei, and the one who accepts it is worse than the one who says it. V'amru Chazal, Shalom esaper lashon hara, v'makabel lashon hara, l'sheichel haklavim. Person who speaks lashon hara, accepts lashon hara, says he's fit to be thrown to the dogs. And therefore, we see the severity of accepting lashon hara rechilas. Then in the parentheses, he brings down a very classic example of when we say lashon hara kills three people. What's one of the three other people spoken about? What's the classical example of that? So you have like this. We know that when David HaMelech was running away from Shaul HaMelech, he ran to a city called Nov, Nov was a city of Kohanim. And Doeg told Shaul about the fact that Nov, the city of Nov, had protected David, and because of that, Shaul killed everybody in that city. Now, that was classic Rechila. That was an example where that was Rechilas. That was where Doeg told Shaul what the people of Nov did against his will, right? That was Lashon Hara, was Rechilas, but it really was telling someone about what someone else did that against them, okay? So what happened at the end? Doeg lost his Olam Haba, the people of Nov were killed, and Shaul eventually was killed. So that's where you see the three people that are killed by way of Lashon Hara and Rechilas. Have a wonderful day. A good tavach. Shvua tov.
Thank you, Rabbi.